Petey Beats here from Pop Turnitin, speaking to Dakota Shapiro about Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes in theaters November 17th. Welcome to the show, man. Thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me, dude.
I mean, it's pretty crazy, right? I mean, the Hunger Games universe is such a big universe. The original books, the original movies. We got this prequel now. People have been waiting, and the time is coming. Has it hit you that people are going to finally be able to see this movie, man?
Man, you know, I'm seeing the ads and stuff around, and I'm seeing my friends are texting me about it, and I'm starting to feel it a little bit, and I'm excited. You know, it was a series that I read all of, you know, and a lot of my friends love, my sister, my family love it, you know, so it's cool to be in something that they are aware of and that they know.
100%.
Yeah, I'm so
and it's interesting, right? Because the traditional thing is you make a tape and then you read for it, and sometimes you know what you're auditioning for. Sometimes it's kind of tight-lipped, right? They don't really tell you much. What can you tell me about your audition process? Like, did you know you were auditioning for a Hunger Games movie?
I think it had a code name, but I think when I was reading, I think it was called Butterfly or something like that. And but I was reading the sides, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that's what this is.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
It's not even a songbird or a snake.
No. They're going real sneaky with it.
Because maybe before it was announced, maybe they could just call it like Songbird, right? If you think about it.
Yeah, no, totally.
But they kept it safe, and they went with butter.
Yeah, they kept this. They're being real tight-lipped about it. So but I just did I did a self-tape, and then I did a virtual audition with the director, and then that was that. You know, it was pretty. It's funny, the jobs that you end up booking, the process just feels so much easier.
Yeah, like, sometimes you think you'd hope you'd have like this really huge like big story, right? About I did this and that. And it's just kind of like I went in, I did it, and I waited, and I got it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I have the stories from the ones that I didn't get, really, you know?
But I feel like it's interesting, too. Like, I mean, the job of being an actor is you're like professional auditioners. Like, that's what it is, if you think about it.
Pretty much, man. Yeah, it was a whole different, like, skill set to when I first moved out to LA, I actually had no idea how to audition. Like, I knew how to do a play, you know, a scene from a play, but I really had no idea. And that has been a whole different skill set that I've had to learn and hopefully gotten a little bit better at. But yeah.
You brought it up in the beginning of the interview, you know, you and your family, the interest in the books and everything. I do find it interesting, Dakota, because, you know, at the end of the day, there's going to be the fans of the books and the original movies that are going to be excited, they're going to want the little kind of Easter eggs and everything. But at the end of the day, this is a prequel. This is a new movie. It's not the books. It's not the movies we've seen before, right? So I'm wondering if there was a little bit of like a separation from the original source material as an actor and a storyteller perspective, just kind of going in fresh and just doing your thing, being like, this is the prequel. You know what I mean by that a little bit?
Yeah, totally, man. I think in this case, they kept it pretty close to the original source material for the prequel book, because I read it before I went and I did it, and I just actually saw the movie for the first time yesterday, and from what I remember, it's pretty on point with everything. There's a lot in the book, you know, there's a lot to cover, but they cover it all quite well, and but you know, you do have to adjust a little bit when you're doing a movie, because the tone might be slightly different or things like that. So, but I feel like it still is very true to the books, and I definitely like do it as true as I could to the character in the book.
100%, and that's also exciting to kind of have that. Those assets available to you for the research and everything. But I feel like depending on the projects, you're going to dive in, and depending on the projects, maybe, you know, talking to the directors and writers, it's a different thing. They want you to bring kind of your own spin to it. So I feel like that's an interesting world on its own, to be honest with you, project to project dependent.
Yeah, absolutely. It's different every time.
Absolutely. Now, I believe this was filmed in Europe, correct? Germany and Poland, this film. So was a lot of your stuff in both cities or both countries, or was it more in Germany and more in Poland?
I mostly filmed in Germany and
Okay.
Duisburg.
Yeah.
But when I first arrived, I arrived in Berlin, and then they brought me to Poland just to check my hair. And basically, I
So
drove to Poland.
it was mainly in Germany, and it's crazy to
Mainly in
think
Germany.
about. It's crazy also to think about when you kind of wrap this and everything, and then like now thinking about that, all the travel and everything, going to Europe and everything. I bet that was just such a crazy experience. But I bet now that it's coming out, you're like thinking and reminiscing about it a lot more, right?
Totally. I mean, it was really fun. Like there was a lot of other actors around my age, and there was a really great vibe on set. So it was a really fun experience. Like it was great company. Like people were really lovely to work with. Um, but it is so funny about doing movies because you'll finish a movie and then, a year, 2 years later, your life may be in a completely different place. And then it comes out and you're like, oh, and you do kind of have a reliving experience.
Well, it's always an on to the next, right? Just that's the name of the game,
Totally.
right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
how it
totally.
is, right?
You can't just wait. You can't just wait around for it, man. You're gonna be waiting forever.
We don't want to go into big spoilers. I can't wait for people to see it November 17th in theaters. It's going to be amazing. It's an event. Like when a movie like this comes out, it's a whole event, right? The whole week of going to see the Hunger Games movie. What can you tell us about your character without giving too much away? I'm sure there's some stuff you could tell us.
Yeah, I mean, he is one of the main characters' ex-boyfriends who I think both of them are kind of survivors, and he cheats on her with the mayor's daughter, and it gets her involved with the Hunger Games, and that's like kind of that happens at the beginning.
Is it crazy to be a character in the movie that if it wasn't for your character, a lot of the movie might not have happened? You know what I mean by that? That's
Yeah,
crazy,
I mean, yeah, totally. It's great. It's good to be involved in the plot. Like I feel like it's nice to be a character that is like important to the plot. That feels good. And I personally just like playing characters that are complicated anyway. So that's a lot more interesting for me personally.
I feel like movies like the Hunger Games movies are like really cool because they really are that balance of like the drama and the relationships and the love and then like the action and all the big kind of sequences and everything. And there is that kind of balance down the middle. I'm just wondering from a storyteller perspective, Dakota, based on like what you shot and everything and what you saw, what was that like being part of a movie that had like both elements, that has the drama, also has kind of the action? Like, I'm just curious about that.
I mean, it's fun. It's fun to do action sequences, and it's fun. It's fun to have the spectacle as well as like the heart. I think the Hunger Games does that really well. It's great, man. I get to be like, you get to do like stuff with special effects and stunts. I have a stunt guy who's in a wig of me. Like I'd never experienced that before, so that's cool. Yeah, I think it's great. And I think everybody loves going to the movie theaters and watching a spectacle. It's fun to watch like a big self-contained world and to be kind of transported away, away from your life and it just completely into the universe of whatever's going on. I think people love that, and I think especially right now, it's like, it feels like good timing for that for me personally, but also I feel like that's the kind of zeitgeist in the air, is like,
obviously, you go where the opportunities are and everything, but to be able to play these characters in these worlds that are so big, I feel like is a really, really cool thing. You know what I mean? Like,
totally,
like it's
totally.
a big world, right? If you think about it.
Yeah, big world. There's a lot. I mean, there's so many books and so many people have such a personal connection to it as well, which is really cool. It's cool to be a part of something like that.
Whether you've been on a set one time, Dakota, or like 100 times, you're always going to learn something new. There's always going to be learning experiences. From a acting perspective, what were some learning experiences on Songbirds and Snakes for you?
Man, I mean, it's hard to kind of distill it down into one thing because I feel like I was learning every day. Like
Every time
just
you show up, any interaction is like a learning experience.
100%, and there's some real pros on this and just getting to witness them do their thing, like it's incredibly instructive every time. So yeah, everybody I was working with was incredibly talented and I feel like I learned something from everybody. So Yeah, every this was a big one in terms of that for sure. Lots of young actors with lots of different approaches and a lot of great work.
And my last question too is like, I think it depends, and like this is an ensemble cast. Like, there's a lot of you. I mean, people that know the Hunger Games, it's competition. There's a lot of competitors. Like, there's a lot of people in these movies, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, like, what are like the conversations like with your fellow acting colleagues in regards to like, is there a lot of like, is there conversation? Like, do you have to get your mind off things when you're breaking in at base camp, or like, are you talking about the craft and the story? Like, I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, we definitely like will talk about, just definitely talk about the scene and definitely talk about like how we think it's going, what like all that kind of stuff. There's like, I mean, it's so exciting, so you kind of all do want to get together and like discuss it and I feel like a conversation is such an important part of making a scene work in the first place, that like it's kind of an important aspect of just making sure that you're doing your job right, is like talking to your scene partners and seeing what works, what they're picking up on, what their ideas are.
Oh, absolutely. And like we said, the Hunger Games Songbird Ballad of the Songbirds and Snakes is going to be available November 17th in theaters. Man, it's next week, man. It's crazy. Like it's a week from today.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. It's been a long time coming. I'm excited.
Yeah, people are going to see it. Dakota, so great chatting with you, man. Thank you so much for coming
Likewise.
on the show.
Likewise, man. So appreciate your time.
Do you have an Instagram account people can keep up to date with for updates?
Yeah, it's just Dakota Shapiro.
Okay, so you can check that out. Awesome. Well, this has been Popturnative, youtube.com/Popturnative for previous episodes. Until next time, this is Dakota Shapiro and Petey Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popturnative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popturnative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.